If you do not understand white supremacy, what it is, and how it works, everything else that you do understand will confuse you. In all of these 9 areas of activity, economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. Anywhere on the planet, minute by minute, day by day, all of the time, all of the time, all of the time.
All of the time. All of the time. Welcome to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am the co-host of the show. My name is Mr. Bobby. And if you would like to get in contact with the show, you can simply do that by dialing 516-453-9921. And when you do that, make sure that you press the number 1 button, and you will go to the top of the line. You can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. But there are 35 emails or Gmails in front of you, and I don't know how many we will get a chance to get through, but you can Gmail me. If you do that now, your Gmail will be read. It may not be read this day, but it will be read at some point, maybe on another show. I don't really think we're going to have a chance to answer all 34 of the Gmails today, but we will do what we will do. Let me say, first of all, for myself and for all the listeners, good morning, Mr. Fuller.
Good morning, sir.
And how are you this day?
I'm still learning.
You're still learning. I've been going over a few of your tapes from other shows, other hosts, and some very interesting conversations. Been going over some of the Gmails, and one of the things that we need to keep in mind, you always focus in on we must have a code. And I don't know if we really understand that. You've given numerous examples of having a code, Well, one of the things that's gone on with the black men that have, or black people being gunned down and killed and so forth, you've mentioned many times, never fuss, fight, or flee. You mentioned that this was, going to happen. And you also mentioned about why you wrote this book, and how that racism must end completely, must completely be gone and replaced with what, Mr. Fuller, so that everybody can hear. What must racism what must racism be replaced with?
Racism must be replaced with a system of justice, because what racism is a system of non-justice. That's guaranteed. As long as you have racism, a system of white supremacy, then the most powerful religious and political government that the people of this planet have ever produced, you are going to have non-justice. So you can't have justice and racism on the same planet at the same time. So the same things that you see happening in the system of racism will be happening as long as you have the system of racism. Racism is not something where you run into an incident. That's what people think of racism. Racism is an incident.
Yes.
That you run into it every now and then. But all the rest of the time, you don't have it. You just run into it maybe on a given Thursday, and then the rest of the week you don't encounter racism because this was a racial incident. And but the entire system of racism is an entire system of racism, which means the incident of racism isn't an incident. It's a government 24/7 in all 9 areas of activity: economics, education, entertainment, labor, law, politics, religion, sex, and war. And what is racism? The domination and mistreatment by white supremacists of the non-white people of the entire planet, directly or indirectly, in all of these areas of activity, 24 hours a day, whether you're aware of it or not.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it is. Now, justice would be guaranteeing that no person is mistreated, regardless of who that person might be. A person is a person. No person is mistreated. That's number one. If you're going to have justice, can't have anybody being mistreated. Not one person.
Okay, nobody.
Has never happened in the history of the known universe.
Okay.
Second thing is guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help in all of the 9 areas of activity, the most constructive help in all of those areas that I just named.
Yes, sir.
And that should be the goal. Replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. Not with another system of non-justice. We don't need any more non-just systems.
Oh, now, we're going to keep that word in mind, focus on that word replace, before I take the calls here. Now, you mentioned on one show that you and I have done, but some people may not have heard this, but you have mentioned on one show that if racism is replaced with the system of justice, then all of our problems would be solved. Would that be correct?
Absolutely, as far as people problems are concerned.
Yeah, as far as people.
Now, scientific problems and all like that, diseases and whatnot, things that people don't know about, that is likely to continue to happen. But if people have the correct interaction, what the code calls quality relationship, in fact, we put it in capital letters, the quality relationship in all areas of activity. You want the top quality relationship. No arguments, for an example. Conversations, but never an argument between one person and another. What's the difference between an argument and a conversation? Arguments are designed to win arguments, something that a lot of people are excellent at, winning arguments. But a conversation is designed to solve problems in the most constructive manner. An argument is just designed, I beat you at the argument. Ha, 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 how about that? Take that. And that's how, most people go around actually forming arguments or participating in arguments without knowing that that's what they're doing, when they should be having conversations. That's just one thing. But there are thousands of things that need to be changed that the people of this planet engage in and take for granted. Like we're talking about right now during this virus thing, getting back to normal. We never want to get back to what we had before, ever. We want to do something a whole lot better than what it was before.
All righty. Now, here we go with the phone calls right now. Let's go right here to Ivory. You're up first. What is your question for Mr. Fuller?
Thank you so much. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, greetings to all. If I can just take up a couple of everyone's minutes just to take time to make a VGQ statement and then to ask one question at the end. I just wanted to say that from the first time I heard Mr. Neely Fuller Jr.'s voice, I've been listening to every word, reading every book, trying to find everything I can with the name Neely Fuller Jr. on it. Even though it's hard for me to get in on every Tuesday to talk, I always try to tune in to make sure I can still hear his voice. It means the world to me, so I'm so thankful and grateful. And I want to just say thank you to him and all of his support system. I also just want to say that I try to understand every day exactly what he means by, if you don't understand white supremacy, racism, what it is and how it works, everything else you understand will only confuse you. But I'm still learning. So people are dying, like you guys mentioned earlier, all over the world. Like melanated people everywhere are just getting killed senselessly right now all over. And people are still talking about marching and, voting and just all of these things, not learning from our ancestors' past and not even realizing that this is how white supremacy works. They know that when they do something unjust, we're going to go march. That's their, way of getting us. That's exactly how they work. They know exactly how we are going to react to racism. And if you understand today in 2020 white supremacy, when Mr. Fuller says we have to be universal, that's because that's who the enemies are. That's who the real terrorists are. It's the globalists. It's the refined white supremacy are now people calling themselves using the term globalists. And they don't care. They're hurting white people and non-white people, and white people who are, quote, unquote, acting stupid or acting like they don't know what's going on. The legal system, if everyone can watch, by the consent of the governed, they lie to our parents about what they use our birth certificates for, and they put us all into a trap from birth. That's why they created that movie Us. I don't know if everyone saw that movie Us. Well, everyone has a person, and only that person is subject to the justice system because you have a birth certificate. So your parents sold you to the state as a stock at birth to this corporation called the United States of America. It's really a
You're not speaking about the straw man, are you?
The straw man, exactly.
Okay, all right, I got you.
And they, in order for them to get profit from the straw man, they have to kidnap children. They have to kidnap children in order to get profit off of these stocks. How evil can that be? But that's what it is. They get fun out of mistreating people, and they do sacrifice their own and the ones who choose not to see what's going on. So I've been listening to a lot of old interviews and a lot of the old conversations that Mr. Neely Fuller was doing, and a lot of the old statements that people were making and the questions that people were asking. But people are still not listening to what he's saying. You have to unlearn everything you were ever taught. You have to completely become universal and live constructive. And if you do that, according to logic, everything will fall into place. Just like he brings up the movie Shawshank Redemption multiple times. There's a new movie in 2020 called Escape to Victoria of white men in the middle of apartheid in being in prison and telling you exactly how they escaped, how to do it, and they escaped. So if the world is a prison, and we hear about people escaping all the time, Assata Shakur escaped from a prison. So it's possible to escape from a prison if you are being persistent and every single day not giving up, and every single day you're thinking about escaping from that prison, which is the planet. So basically, because they have us locked into this legal system by the straw man, living off the grid would sound like freedom and escaping from this planet. So I guess, my question is, what is the process of living off the grid?
Mr. Fuller?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know what living off the grid means. I'm not even familiar with what they call the straw man. Apparently, you're saying that was in a movie or a story or something. So I'm not familiar with that.
No, it's real, Mr. Fuller. It's real.
Well, what is a straw man? What is a straw man?
Okay, so
go ahead.
Why are we talking about a straw man?
Well, because we're in a prison. And so me going on my journey to understand white supremacy today in 2020, because, we've been trying to study this for the longest. Like you said, nobody has figured out what it is yet, how to delete racism off the planet and replace it with a system of justice. Well, that's because every thought, speak, and action is not upon escaping. It's not, rooted in escaping the prison. So if all of that was rooted in escaping the prison, which, I want to believe that I've been doing, this is what led me to it. Reading books about exactly what's going on, why social media was created, the vaccinations, the birth control, everything. And then at the end of the book, it talks about your straw man, how when you have a birth certificate, that is your parent selling the child to the state as a dependent So now the state is saying, okay, so because you filled out this application, which gave us consent, and they're using the Bill of Rights, they're using everything. America was sold out as a business in 1860s. So they use, all of us are indebted, whether they taking taxes out of your paycheck, whether you're in the prison system, whether you're in school debt, all of us are indebted once we fill out that birth certificate to this corporation of America.
So what is the question?
So I guess the question is, so if the planet is a prison and you want to escape from the prison, you know, and they use fear to try to get you to stop escaping from the prison, right? They want us to be the legal system. So if you can get away from that legal system, which is to go off the grid, not have a straw man, not be traceable, not be taxable, you know, I guess my question is, what's the process for that? Like after
the process, okay, fine. Okay, the question is, what is the process for replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice? Is that the question? I want to get the question
I don't want to
correct.
say yes. Right, yes, I understand.
Hello?
I understand. Yes, hello?
Is that the question?
I don't want to say
What
yes.
is the process for replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice? Is that the question, or is there another question here?
I think there's another question. Because
what is that question?
I don't know. I had it all written out. Well, because I just
That's what I mean by codification. Everything is exact.
Mhm.
I do it, you know, but the codification doesn't allow for rambling. I ramble, all right? That's one of the problems. We go full circle. You use a lot of words and come right back where we started. Everything is just straight to the point. Question, answer. Question, answer.
Right.
Question, answer. Just 2 points. That's all. Question, answer. Question, answer. Everything in science is nothing but just cold. Question, answer. Question, answer. Question, answer. This is how progress is made. Otherwise, we're all over the map, and we wind up right back where we started from. Now, the white supremacists are skillful at seeing to it that every move they make is in a question and an answer, very direct. Boom, boom, just like that. Question, answer, question, answer, question, answer, question. That's how they move faster and more efficiently than anybody in recorded history. But they have taught us, and I'm guilty of it, how to make a long journey, because black people always like to talk about struggle, meaning this slow and slogging and this dragging and being sometimes very sophisticated. I mean, using a whole ocean of words. And we call that being educated, because we know millions of words that other people don't know. Make sure that we use all of these words. The white supremacists come along and make 5 words work to wrap up a problem that needs to be solved with 5 words, where black people are taking 500 words and still haven't gotten anywhere with the 500 words. But the white supremacists can take 5 words and make magic happen all over the world instantly. 1 button, pushed. 1 second, pushed. It's done. It's a done deal. What people have been able to not accomplish, other people, non-white people, in 100 years, they do it in 15 minutes. That's the science of it, because they are purely logical. And one thing they do teach black people in a lot of colleges and whatnot is how to use a lot of words, maybe 2,000 words, to say what you could say in 5 words. So they can't keep loading us up with words. So, like I said, we come to a question. That question is, how do you replace the system of white supremacy with a system of justice? You have a code for doing so. Now, what is a code? Questions and answers. Find the answer to every question and find it in record time, high speed, jet speed. Find that answer. Get the answer to it. You got a problem? Okay, what is the problem? You have to first know what the problem is and analyze it correctly. And then say, hey, in the next hour, we're going to find an answer to this problem. We got 60 minutes to do it. Go to it. That's the kind of classrooms we need. And they say, well, this problem is dragged on for 15, 20 years and whatnot. Hey, you got 60 minutes to solve this problem. That's code. See, that's what we need.
All right, Ivory, I am going to have to go, but I tell you what, don't be a stranger and keep on learning. Keep on learning, okay?
Thank you.
You're still learning. Thank you so much, Ivory, and don't be a stranger.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome. All righty. Let's see. Wait a minute. I must have messed up. Somebody I was getting ready to go to him, but Oh, wait, yeah, here we go. Yeah, Mark from Canada. There you go. Mark, you there?
Yes, I am. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Mark from Canada.
Okay, thank you for your time today. Hope everyone's doing well. Mr. Fuller, most groups or people are held together by a land, a language, or a common spiritual belief, I should say, that's common to them. But what holds us together as a people?
What holds what people together?
What holds black people, especially in North America? What defines us as a people other than our skin color?
That's it. That's all we have. We have time, we have energy, and we have skin color. And that's all the white supremacists want us to have. Time, energy, and skin color to serve the system of white supremacy. That's what we have. We don't have anything else. We have time. We have energy. Well, black people got plenty of energy. I mean, we move. I mean, we get on the stage and we move. We work out. We turn flips like nobody in the world. But the white supremacists got strings attached to every flip we turn. So we are basically puppets because we are prisoners of war. We were born in captivity. So what does a prisoner of war have? Time and energy and their captivity. That's the equation. That's what black people have, not only in the northwestern hemisphere, but everywhere on this planet. Who controls the economics of every black person that's breathing on this planet right now? And those that are not breathing, I'm talking about those that's in cemeteries, because black people argue about where, and non-white people, Indians, argue about their burial grounds. They're already buried, even though they're walking around on top of the ground, because they are in prison. So all of it is burial ground for a black person. We are born on a burial ground because we're all prisoners of war. We have to understand that. If you're black, and I've got ready to name the categories, look at black economics. It's non-existent. This is all controlled by the white supremacists, every bit of it, everything that black people buy and sell and whatnot. The white supremacists say what the value of it is, because they say what the value of it is of the person who is planting the corn. That's the first thing they put the value on. And they say that's a black value under the system of white supremacy, which is valueless unless you have a white person in the equation. So that takes care of that economic thing. The education system. Black people say, I got to get educated. So put that in the form of a question. Oh, you're going to get educated? You got a question, mister or miss. And what is that question? Which way do white people go? Because that's how you get educated. We say that ourselves. I got to go somewhere where I can get my children educated, where they can be progressive for the future. All we are really saying when you interpret that is, I got to go find some white folks, because none of these black people around me know anything about anything that's worth knowing. So I got, which way do the white people go? I got to go and get educated in their institutions of learning. And then we come out smiling and grinning at the cameras all over the planet saying, look at my plaque. Oh, I got another one here, too. Have you seen this one? Look at this one. Now I got a gold one over here. Look at this one. Then you look at it with scrutiny, and you see 5 signatures there, all of black college presidents and all like that. And then you see the final signature, the one that really counts, really, the only one that counts. That's some white person's name. You even look at the names of the schools that are the premier schools, and a lot of them have the names of what? White supremacists. I mean, some of them admitted white supremacists. Some of them slave owners. But we proudly display all of this and say, I am now an educated black person. Who are you? And look around at what? Other black people. And compare ourselves with other black people, which is what we are really good at. But do we compare ourselves with the white supremacists? No. That's forbidden territory. Why? Because how is a slave going to compare him or herself with a master?
Mm-hmm. May I
All right.
something else really quick?
Mark, we're running real close to a break, so I'm so sorry, but don't be a stranger, Mark. Thank you so much, Mark, for your call. Okay, let's see. So Green Beasley had not really a question, but the solution you mentioned in the beginning of the program is to replace the system of white supremacy with justice, and you went on to explain that, what that is. Could you repeat that one more time, this justice that you were talking about?
Yes. Justice means what? See, we have to have definitions for every word. Just don't throw words around just to show that we know a lot of words. I was raised up like that. You know, we call it increased vocabulary.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, he has a wonderful vocabulary. The question is, not his vocabulary, can he solve problems? Not, how loquacious he can be,
mm-hmm.
and articulate he can be. What problem has he solved? Name one. See, this is the question. See, we got to know what questions to ask. So, justice means guaranteeing that no person is mistreated. Now, some people ask another question, which is valid. All questions are valid because every question has an answer. They say, well, what is mistreatment, Fuller? Well, babies can perceive, almost, when someone is being mistreated. A little 3-year-old can tell that when you gave all the other children an orange and little Ronnie didn't get an orange, or little Gloria, or Kamini, or Kamani, or Keisha, she didn't get an orange. And she looks around. Now, she can't articulate it. She can't express it. But you see it in their eyes that something is in error. Something is out of order. All the other children got an orange. And they skip over me. I don't get an orange. Mistreatment. You know mistreatment. Without anybody telling you, you become aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
And you should always point it out. So you got to guarantee that no person is mistreated.
And I got to
take a break here, Mr. guarantee that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help.
Got to take a break here. You're listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. You can also call it the CRCS. If you'd like to get in contact with the show, you may do so by calling 516-453-9921. That's 516-453-9921. Make sure you hit the number 1 button. You will go to the front of the line. You can also Gmail me, but chances are I'm not going to be able to read your Gmail today. But if you can do this, 7 Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. Although I may not read it today, it will be read on another show that we have on upcoming. Okay, let's continue. Let's go to JV. JV, you are now on with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. What is your question, please?
Oh, good morning, Mr. Fuller. Good morning, Mr. Bobby.
Good morning.
You all are in good voice this morning, Mr. Fuller. I mean, you pulled right out of the garage this morning with your expression, I'll say, with one of your nicer cars. I've just been really enjoying the show. This first half hour has gone by so quickly. And one of the things I enjoy, and I think you help everybody with as you answer questions, is that when somebody is coming with a ramble, as I think we all can, you kind of use that and stop that and take that back to codification and say it has to be a question and an answer. And I think that just helps us all so much, just kind of base ourselves. So my question this morning is there ever a time when a question shouldn't be asked? You know, if everything can be solved with questions and answers, is there ever a time where a question can do you more harm than good, or you should threshold that question? Is there anything that cannot be solved with questions and answers? I mean,
no, all problems are solved. No, in answer to the question, all problems, as far as I know, and somebody can, but I've never known a problem that was solved without a question and an answer. That is the procedure for solving problems. I mean, some person looked at the moon, and I've given this illustration many times. Trillions of years ago, maybe, I don't know how far back, that the first person looked at the moon. I don't know the name of that person or where that person was. The first person that looked up and saw the moon, because there was a first person that looked up and saw the moon. Presumably, logically speaking, there was somebody who was the first person to actually look at the moon and said a question. What is that? What is that? And then maybe 1 million years passed, and another person asked a question. Do you think I can get there? And another person probably standing next to him said, no way. I tried it. I climbed that highest mountain, and I wasn't nowhere near it after I got to the top. And I wearily came back down, because I thought that if I got to the top of that mountain, I could jump right over there on the moon, because the moon was right behind that mountain. Or it seemed to me. Now, that could have been the scenario. But finally, after millions of years, thousands of years, whatever, someone said, you know what? I'm asking that question. Can I get there? And a man named John F. Kennedy said, hey, stop talking about it. We do all this talking. Don't act like, I guess he could say in the back of his mind, don't be like black people. Keep talking about a problem. Solve it. Solve it. And so John F. Kennedy I'm not saying he said that, but I'm saying he could say that. All right. So he just said, and when I first heard him say that, I say, what is he talking about? I mean, when I heard him say it, we're going to the moon. Hey, I don't care how long it's been there, trillions of years and all like that. So what? I'm going to figure out a way to get there. People keep asking, can you get there? Hey, let's find out the answer, because there's an answer to every question. Can you get to the moon? The answer is yes. Now, once we say yes, we got to figure out the mathematical, logical way of getting from this point called Earth to the moon, and not only get there and walk around, and breathe a breath of air that we took with us, because there ain't no air up there, and get back. There's no point in going there if we can't get back. I mean, one-way trip, that ain't us. We got to get back. How do you figure it out? So they kept asking questions and coming up with answers. Questions, answers, questions, answers, questions, answers. And finally, lift off. We're now going. And, hey, we just arrived. We just got back. Why? Because we used the process of questions and answers. And the first question was, is it possible to get there? So if it's possible to get there, we're going to find out exactly what it takes to do it.
All righty.
Black people got to learn to think like that, and learn to think like that at a lightning pace.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you, JV. And as I tell everyone, do not be a stranger. Thank you for your call. Questions and answers. Let's see here. Answer me this, Mr. Fuller. JJ from the projects wanted to know this before I get to you, Marion. He wanted to know, Mr. Fuller, is white supremacy a virus?
Is white supremacy what?
A virus.
A violence?
Virus. Virus.
Yes, you can say that. Look up the term virus. A virus is a enemy to the metabolism of people, correct?
Okay.
I guess. I haven't looked up the actual definition of the word virus myself. I guess somebody could punch it up on a computer. I'm not looking at it now, or a dictionary. I don't have a dictionary right.
Your explanation is all right. Go ahead.
Yes, but yes, a person can call it that. See, part of codification is you can take any word and give it your definition. Now, there are people who will say, oh, no, you can't do that. I do it all the time. Somebody told me, said, Fuller, how'd you come up with this definition for America? Because I looked in the dictionary, that ain't that definition for America. I said, yes, it is. And he said, well, what are you using as a reference? I said, me.
Okay.
and I was and what did I use? I used logic. What is the definition of an American? All right. I asked myself that. See, like I said, all problems are solved through the process of questions and answers. So the first thing I do is ask myself the question.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what exactly is an American? At what point does a person become an American? What does an American do that nobody else does? All right? That's number one. That's question number one. What does an American do that nobody else does? Or another question, is everybody American? Well, what's the difference between a person who is an American and a person who is not an American? So after thinking about it, and it didn't take very long, because that's another thing. Sometimes when you raise certain questions that most people don't raise, boy, the answers come to you, I mean, boom, 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 just like that. Because that has happened to me over and over again. By being very specific. What exactly is an American, and what exactly is not an American?
Okay.
And what does an American do that nobody else does. Now, that last one is a real punchline.
It's a real puncher.
Yeah,
okay.
what does an American do that nobody else on the planet does or off the planet does? All right?
Okay.
In all 9 areas of activity.
All 9 areas. All righty. Let's do this. Let's go to Marianne. Okay, Marianne, you're on with Mr. Fuller Live. Go ahead with your question, please.
Okay, good morning. On page, I'm asking a question in referencing from page 168 of the revised United Independent Compensatory Code.
Page 168?
Yes.
Okay, page 168. Okay.
168.
Go ahead.
All right, so the third paragraph from the top, it says, to function within the system of white supremacy, insanity is a requirement. Racist man and racist woman, white supremacists collectively require that their victims cooperate in helping to maintain the system of white supremacy, to cooperate with the system of white supremacy to promote an insane, out-of-balance way of thinking, speaking, and acting by all people.
Excuse me. Are you said page 168?
Yeah. Of the expanded.
What book are you in? Because I'm looking at. Are you in a revised? What book are you in?
Yes.
Revised expanded edition.
Yes.
You said at the top of the page.
No, from the top, the third paragraph.
Oh, okay. I see it. Okay, to function. Okay, I got you. Third paragraph. Okay. All right. Okay, I'm with you now. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so if that's the definition, if we're all insane, okay, if we're insane, right? Is your effort essentially to like that of a psychiatrist for us to come out of our insanity? Is that possible to come out of our insanity? And
wait a minute, I'm trying to get your question.
You're saying
the question is what?
I'm insane, right? I'm insane because I function within the system.
No, you're making a statement, I guess. Are you making a statement or asking a question?
Well, that's the conclusion I came to from this. To function within the system, we have to.
So the question is. The question is what?
So I guess are we all insane?
Are we all insane? Is that the question?
Yes.
We meaning who?
Non-white people.
Yes. The answer to the question is yes. Why? Because we are in a what? Insane system according to compensatory counter-racist logic. And what is the name of that system? The system of white supremacy. It is an insane system. It's a system that's designed to make people crazy. Why? Because anytime people mistreat people, anytime people want to set up a government of domination of people by people in order to mistreat people rather than practice justice, you have an insane system that is orchestrated and practiced by insane people that makes the people who are subject to that government also insane, unquote. Did that answer your question?
Yes. How are we supposed to come out of our insanity?
We come out of our insanity by replacing the system of white supremacy with the system of justice, and the system of justice is a quote unquote sane system. And what is the system of justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. Precision work.
Okay. My last question, is it logical to expect insane people to bring about a system of justice?
Is it logical to expect insane people to bring about a system of justice?
Yes.
Is that the question?
Yes.
It's logical for sane people or people who are in the process of becoming sane. See, that's a process. Becoming sane, if you're insane, like going to the moon, you're not at the moon, but you first set the intention of becoming sane. But you know you're not going to be sane until you replace an insane system with a sane system. See, eureka, that's a wake-up moment. So you grow from insanity into sanity. It's a process, and you try to do it as swiftly and as efficiently as you possibly can. And that calls for a code. A code of what? Questions and answers.
Alrighty.
And you start with just what you just asked. Are we insane? And the answer is yes. Now, how do you get to be sane if you're insane? Through a process of becoming sane. And what's that process? Questions and answers.
All righty. Thank you, Marion, for your call, and don't be a stranger. Green Beasley, that was found in the book that we're getting ready to talk about, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. It's the revised, expanded edition, and she mentioned, or it was mentioned, that it is the third paragraph down where it says to function within the system of white supremacy, insanity is a requirement.
Is a requirement.
Is a requirement. So that's what it is. Okay. Mr. Fuller, and since he went there, this is the point of the conversation that we always want to set aside to talk about this book that she was referring to in the book I just read that little piece from, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. Could you talk about the book, how can we get it, and the latest information on it?
Oh, the latest information is that it might be the basic book may not be available. I haven't looked at the website, but on account of some glitches that have come up for various reasons. But it will be back within a week or two. That's what I've been told, if it's not there now. But you might be able to get the 1984 edition and the Word Guide if it's still there. But go to producejustice.com. Anything pertaining to Neely Fuller now is at producejustice.com. And that's the best place to go. There are other places, I guess. Some people tell me that there are. But you can go to producejustice.com, and that gives you whatever it is I'm doing right now and what the book, where the books are available for sure. The book should be available only really, I guess, at producejustice.com. You most likely won't find them in most bookstores, but you'll find them at producejustice.com when they are there. And when they're not there, it's on account of some type of glitch in distribution or something, communication, that the books are not available. But go to producejustice.com. Now, this book is designed for the individual victim of white supremacy. What to do, what not to do. Questions and answers. I mean, it does a lot of, it presents a lot of suggestions about what to do about situations, because that's what everything is about. Suggestions about what to do and say, because everything is about thought, then speech, then action. In fact, one of the supplementary titles of the book itself is a textbook workbook for thought, speech, and or action for victims of white supremacy. Now, a lot of people say, I ain't no victim of no white supremacy. There ain't no such thing as no white supremacy over me. Now, when a person says that, the book even addresses that. How are you supposed to react in order to get the best result? Because everything about your action is to produce the best possible result that can be produced. So you just simply say, sir, ma'am, you just made a statement that you are not a victim of white supremacy. So Neely Fuller's book, logically speaking, does not pertain to you. End of story. Some people have asked me about that. I try to talk to black people about white supremacy, and all I get is an argument. They get to the place, they get mad at me. They don't even want to talk to me no more. Well, you're not supposed to be trying to get them to believe white supremacy exists. Let them find that out. And how do you do that? Questions and answers. Someone asked me about that, call me and ask me about that, even though the book is all about that. The book covers that. Questions and answers. And the questions that you want when you're talking to anyone, when you're having a conversation, because you're never supposed to be having an argument, any kind of argument, ever, about anything. No black person should argue with anybody about anything. You have conversations. And the difference between an argument and a conversation, I'm going to say it again, is that a conversation consists of questions and answers that lead to problem solving. An argument is designed to win an argument. That's two different objectives right there. Conversation is about problem solving. That's the codified way. And how do you solve problems? Just one way, questions and answers. So when you're talking to someone, the first thing you want to know is, do you have a problem? And they'll say, problem? What do you mean? Do I have a problem? Yeah, I got some problem. I got a problem with you. Somebody might say that. Now, what is the next logical question? All right, what is your problem with me? And you have a conversation. So you're not arguing. You're trying to find out what is the problem, because you are supposed to be, if you're black on this planet, going to be from having a reputation from being a problem maker to a problem solver. Now, how do you do that magic? By questions and answers. This is how all problems are solved, unless I have been misinformed. But I've never seen any problem solved that wasn't solved through the process of questions and answers. I've never heard of it. All right? So just stay in that lane. Questions and answers. Just one question, one answer. One question, one answer. You'll get there. It'll take you there. It'll draw you into it. It's like a magnet. Questions and answers are a magnet. They pull everybody into it. That's what you call, like in outer space, they say it's something called a black hole. All right? It just pulls all energy into it. Questions and answers pulls all energy right the way it needs to go.
All righty. So we can get that book at producejustice.com.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Okay. So I'm glad you mentioned this word, results, because on tomorrow I host another show, and I have your voice and Dr. Randy Short, and that was the name of it, was Results. I don't know if I'm allowed to speak on what platform it's going to be on, but I can't get enough of your previous conversations, even on other radio formats. But we're going to do that because it's very important, and you speak directly to results.
That's what questions and answers are supposed to lead to.
Exactly, because I think you gave an example of a sergeant, and I've heard you mention him many times, that I guess it was in the service, and he told you, according to what you had said, that he's interested in the results of what he told you, not that you were tired or not that you had to do some work, but results. But anyway, on the show tomorrow, that will be your voice, and you explain that. I think it was a sergeant that did that.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, thank you, Mr. Fuller. Okay, let's see, we have 6 minutes here, or 5. Let me go to Roland Day. I messed up that name, but anyway, I'm going to go to you. Let me see.
It's
right.
Roland, that's right.
Oh, okay. Okay. You're on with Mr. Fuller. Go ahead, please.
All right. So with annihilating racism, how do we come together as a community? Like, should we get into the government office, become a commissioner? Like, what are the the most effective steps in order for us to, really annihilate racism within our country?
Okay, let me go over that again. I'm kind of slow with it. I have to admit that. I shouldn't be. But sometimes I don't pick up on a question even though it's explicit enough. It's not the caller's fault. It's my fault. And so ask me that question again.
I was asking if the most effective way in order for us to annihilate racism, would it be for us to come together as a community to get someone elected within the commission that, focus on the oppression of the black race?
Well, a lot of words are being used that do not conform to what is advocated in the code. For one thing, black people are not a race. And we are not a community. If we were a community, we wouldn't be subject to white supremacy. Prisoners are not a community. We're prisoners of war. So that's all we are. There's no such thing as a black community. A community has some type of base. It has some type of format. A community can defend itself. A community can feed itself. A community can educate itself. That's what a community is. Like in the word commune. But black people are just prisoners of war, and that's all that we are. We have time, we have energy, and we have our prison uniform, which is our black skin, our non-white skin. That's it, and we're subject to the system of white supremacy. They provide everything for us in all 9 areas of activity. So in answer to your question, see, it's not, and the code definitely says this coming together. That term shouldn't even be used anymore because it doesn't really mean anything. Black people coming together. We're already together as prisoners of war. Prisoners of war are together under the system of white supremacy. So that really doesn't mean anything. What is a bunch of prisoners milling around in a prison yard, which is the entire planet? Yeah, you can say, are they together? Yeah, they are together, but they are together in a prison yard under the system of white supremacy. And the name of the prison is the system of white supremacy. And all black people are in it. No black person is outside of it.
Mm-hmm.
So
what's the most effective way to escape the prison system?
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, I'm interfering with you here. So what's your question?
So what's the most effective way for us to escape this prison system?
Replace the system of white supremacy with justice. I'm going to say it again. I've been saying it all during the program. You got to actually replace the system of white supremacy with the system of justice. And what do you do to do that? You have a code. And that code consists of what? Questions and answers. That's the first step you take. You start with the question, do we have a system of white supremacy? Black people can't even agree on that, all right? But you're not looking for agreement. You're just looking for an answer. And some black people will say no. Then you say, okay, well, do you have a problem of any kind? That's the next question. If I'm talking to a black person, if you want to know what the actual process is for solving the race problem, you just say, do we have a system of white supremacy? Some people say yes, some people say no. And so if the people you're talking to say no, there's no such thing as white supremacy. That's just something you made up. That's just some jive talk that you're doing. Putting a problem there that ain't even no problem because it don't even exist. There ain't no such thing as that. I've heard
I'm going to have to cut it off because we are up against the hour. But Rolande, don't be a stranger. Call back the next time. Thank you so much for your call. Okay, we have come to the conclusion of the first hour of the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Stay tuned for the second hour of the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. Alrighty, welcome to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I am your co-host, Mr. Bobby. And if you'd like to get in contact with the show, you can do so by calling 516-453-9921. That's 516-453-9921. Or you can Gmail me at the numero 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, at gmail.com. We want to keep our focus in on having a code, which consists of solving the problem that we have, which is racism, with questions and answers, and solving it by replacing it with a system of justice, which Mr. Fuller has already spoken to, but will speak to again. All righty, let me see here. Let's do a Gmail here. This comes from Dina. She says this. Last week, Mr. Fuller said black people do not or don't own anything on the planet. But according to the white supremacist legal system, there is no real ownership of anything under property law of the common law legal system. That's why under the law, the succession of your possessions, if you die in state, may go to the state. Possession in that context refers to the items that you had use of during your life. So, with that in mind, does that mean that the law only applies to white people and non-white, but not white supremacists? Thank you.
I don't know. Depends on what you mean by the words that are in what was said, like state. Now, according to the code, what is a state? A state is a person. One person is a state of being. So when you say something goes to the state, you're talking about it going to a person. So who is that person? So in the system of white supremacy, if a person is going to have the first and last word, and particularly the last word, you might say, to use a slang expression, when it comes to power, it's going to be the white supremacists. So that's the answer to that question. The white supremacists make the final decisions on anything that has to do with non-white people. They make the final decision. No non-white person makes the final decision on anything that hasn't been authorized by the white supremacists, which means the white supremacists are making the final decision anyway. That's what white supremacy means. It means supreme. Underline that word, supreme. That, in other words, I use another slang expression, the buck stops here.
Buck stops
and black
here.
People are sometimes called bucks.
I've heard that before. Okay, let's go to the phone lines. Let me see here. Ikwani, if I pronounce it right, has a question. Ikwani, did I pronounce it right, or how was it pronounced?
Ikwani, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay.
How's everybody?
Go ahead with your question for Mr. Fuller.
Yeah. Good morning, everybody. Brother Fuller, and also your supporters and your panel. My question is that when we are here consciously assessing the situation here, and even having the historical content to assess our situation hundreds of years ago in this place that we call America, my question to you is how likely, with the embedding of the infrastructure as you critique it with racism, white supremacy, how likely is it for us as black folk to find total liberation or any type of true organic liberation for the black man, the black woman, the black family? Or is that something we would have to do on another continent? I think a lot of our black people here in America are going back and repatriating in Ghana. Would this be another alternative to us getting liberation here?
Hadn't worked so far.
You mean
Hadn't shown
repatriating
any
going back to
signs
Ghana?
of working.
You mean going back to Ghana?
Well, according to the code, I'll just go according to what I've written, which is supposed to be based on evidence and logic. The system of white supremacy is structured in such a way, it performs in such a way, it operates in such a way, in all 9 areas of activity, that there's no such thing as a border when it comes to a white supremacist. Nowhere in the universe, we're just talking about right now, I think, you're talking about planet Earth. The white supremacists say, I'm a white supremacist, racist man and racist woman. We operate on the premise that we own the universe and maybe any other universe that we come in contact with. So some black person crossing some ocean, I still own him and her. Anytime he or she thinks that she's going somewhere on my planet and settle down without my permission, they got another thing coming. Because the only way that they can even go somewhere, they better ask my permission. And I'm the one that's got to take them there because they won't know how to figure out how to get there themselves anyway. So that's what's been happening anyway. That's why a lot of black people will talk about, we got to go back to our ancestral lands. But some black person sitting around there in the alley playing checkers couldn't put 2 and 2 together and say, yeah, you better take a whole lot of white folks with you or you're going to starve together, Negro, because you don't know how to do nothing, because you ain't been taught how to do nothing. Black people that's going to be over there waiting on you to come and tell them how to do something, because they're starving to death. See, we don't think about these things. We have to think about everything. I mean, that's compensatory logic. The answer is no. We can't go anywhere on this planet in this system and be, quote, unquote, free of the white supremacist dictation. All we did was just locate it to another cell under worse conditions. And the people who are already there, it's people there, all these places you're talking about going, who are saying, I got to get the hell out of here. Why? It ain't nothing but black people here, and they don't know how to do nothing. They're not problem solvers. I got to go where the problem solvers are. So they get on boats and whatnot and try to get across the Mediterranean or wherever, Red Sea or whatever. And you say, where are you going with all your children in your arms and whatnot, falling off these old raggedy boats and drowning by the hundreds? Where are you trying to go? Trying to go where the white folks are. That's where we're trying to go. With your dumb self asking me that question. Where do you think we're trying to go? Almost every black person on the planet will tell you that. But we are looking right at it and can't see it. They keep sitting around these universities coming up with these half-baked ideas. It's not a criticism. It's an observation. That's what we do. Yeah, we're not logical. Counter-racist science is total logic, not going by how you feel or waving a few flags or walking shoulder to shoulder down some street, yelling to the top of our voices about how great black people are and we built the pyramids. We need to stop all of that nonsense.
That's
Why?
right.
Because it doesn't work, and the white supremacists don't care about us building the pyramids. They just tell us, get in that ditch and shut up, and hope that I'll give you a payday. You pyramid builders.
And I definitely agree, but just as we look at those greats, those people that have laid the foundation for us, we as the ones that stand today, we would be nothing if it weren't for those. So I think even whether it be with our historical pros and our historical cons, it's very important for us as black people to find that important, whether it be pyramids, whether it be just a doggone shack. I think we should ask the question. We should have appreciation for what our ancestors laid down now, and not do all this, just frail thinking type of thing, because I think that'll put us at a place now where our culture is the one that doesn't reflect greatness, because we forgot how to be great. We even forgot that we were great. You understand? The majority of our people think we come from a lineage that's related to a European. You understand? A lot of us, that's just the mode of our thinking. So when we're talking about opening up a mode of thinking where we are understanding that we can build pyramids, there wasn't no alien that built that. That came from you working together with your people, with your families, because our people really don't know how that works, because a lot of our children, we're so used to seeing mama and daddy arguing, seeing these, we're at the bottom. Dr. Frances Cress Welsing has a lot to, a lot of work she's done as it relates to being able to critique where we have found ourselves, and that is a place that is opposite of not even building no pyramid. We can't even come together and build a hut together is the reality. So you're right. Before we talk about building pyramids, we at least have to talk about building a hut. We have to at least talk about building some of the small things together rather than tearing down together. And that's what our culture today lifts up, is the tearing down of each other. I'll come into your community and shoot down all. I'll come in here and I'll sell dope. That is what our children now pride. So I say it has a lot to do with our pride, our ego, us feeling again confident in ourselves, because your economic growth is not going to be substantial if your own personal growth is not substantial.
All righty, Brother Equani, thank you so much for your phone call. And
yes,
again, do not be a stranger.
Yes, sir. Thank you, guys.
Mm-hmm. Mr. Fuller, before we take the next call, you always start the program off with the saying that you coined back in, I believe it was 1971, which I know that a lot of people, I personally know a lot of people that really don't understand it. In fact, they just kind of go roughshod over it. But it bears that we repeat that so that we don't get lost in words. We don't get lost in what you call in the show that I'm going to do tomorrow, hot air. You spoke about results, but you simply said this in 1971, and could you repeat it for all those who are listening? And my people, I really want you to listen to what Mr. Fuller says and dissect it. It starts off by, if you don't understand. Mr. Fuller, would you repeat that statement that you penned in 1971?
If you do not understand white supremacy, which is racism, what it is and how it works, everything else that you understand will only confuse you. The actual quote, if you do not understand white supremacy, parenthesis, racism, what it is and how it works, you have to understand what it is and how it works. Everything else that you understand will only confuse you. You can understand how to drive a car. You can understand how to do this. You're going to be confused, even in driving a car, because a question. Everything is questions and answers now. A black person just driving a car right now. Lots of black people, millions of black people are driving cars. So now that calls for another question. You're driving a car. People can see that. So let's ask another question in connection with this car being driven right now anywhere on the planet, and black people by the millions are driving cars. Okay, where did you get the car? That's a question. Who made the car? That's a question. Now that you are driving the car, who taught you how to drive the car in the beginning? The maker of the car. They knew how the car had to be driven. And who was that? Okay, who makes the cars now that you drive? And where did they learn to make the car that you're driving? Now, another question. You're a black person driving a car. Where are you going in that car right this minute? And what are you going to do when you arrive where you're going? That is of constructive value. That's another question. Wherever you are on the planet right now, you're driving a car, you're going somewhere. And what are you going to do that is of constructive value when you get where you're going? And who are you going to do what you're going to do with and for? Is somebody going to be helping you do what you're going to do? And is it going to have what? A constructive result. See, that's what I mean by that process of questions and answers. So you can just look around you each and every day. I do. I look at black people getting into a car, and I ask myself, where are they going? And what are they going to do when they get where they're going? And what is the purpose of them getting in that car to go where they're going? And if whatever they're going to do when they arrive at their destination, is it going to have a constructive result or a non-constructive result? Because everything on the planet, every move that every person makes, not only every person, but every insect, every animal, every alligator, elephant, bird, lion, is going to do something that's going to have a constructive result or a non-constructive result. Everything that people do is going to have a result that's constructive or non-constructive, and if it's non-constructive, it's going to not help to produce justice. If a person says, I'm going to a dance in my car, okay, you parked the car, you went to the dance. That dance that you are fixing to participate in, is it going to have a constructive result or a non-constructive result? There's no such thing as in between. Now, you say you're a dancer. Okay, what is the dance for? Say, well, when I dance, it makes me healthy. Oh, okay, you're dancing for your health. And what part of that dance helped you to be healthy? See, because, everything is questions and answers. Everything. No exceptions to that. Black people have to latch on to that and don't turn loose. Everything, every move you make is going to have a constructive result or a non-constructive result. It's going to have and this comes about by questions and answers. Questions and answers. Questions and answers. Nothing else. Questions and answers, because every question has an answer. Just because you don't know the answer doesn't say that that's not a question. Every question has an answer, or that question, according to logic, could not exist. If that question did not have an answer, that question would not exist. And that's been proven over and over again throughout the history of the world. The non-white people, the black people of this planet need to tap into that type of logic, because that's how all problems are solved. What we call progress. See, we use this word progress all the time. We use this word progress and improvement all the time. without giving a definition. Progress means you got a constructive result out of whatever so-called quote-unquote progress you made. Just progress for the sake of progress, that means nothing. That's not specific enough. Constructive results, like Mr. Bobby mentioned a while ago, that I got from a sergeant many years ago when I came into the supply shed when I was in what they call the Air Force. And I said, Sergeant, we've been working hard and whatnot. He said, wait a minute, wait a blankety-blank minute. I say, Fuller, don't you ever come in here talking about how hard you've been working. See, I can take you out here in these rice fields because we were in Japan at the time. I'll show you what hard work is. I can take you out here right now and show you what hard work is. So you don't know nothing about hard work. So I'm not interested in you telling me how hard you have been working. All I'm interested in is show me the result. Now get out of here. And don't come back until you can show me the result of your hard work. Now, I didn't like that type of answer. I didn't like that type of response, rather, to what was being said. But I took that with me after I got through being angry about it. And I said, that makes sense. And that's what black people should be all over the world right now. Result-oriented, period. Not a whole lot of we've been struggling. Because like that sergeant say, I'm not interested in you struggling. I mean, lots of things struggle. I'm interested in getting the job done. Now tell me when the job is done. And I don't want to hear from you until it's done. Done. D-O-N-E. Get out of here. And don't come back till it's done. Every black person should be thinking that way. Even if we don't accomplish anything, we should be thinking that way. Get it done. That's an expression I started hearing maybe 10 years ago, getting it done. I heard a lot of white people using that term. Okay, let's get it done. I mean, there's something about that. Let's get it done. You always stand around here talking, and and everybody trying to look good and all like that. No. That's not worth anything. Forget that, how good you look, trying to get it done. No, don't try. Get it done, and I don't want to hear from you until it's done. I don't want to hear about the hard work. I don't want to hear about what your ancestors did. It's a job to be done right now in 15 minutes. I want it done in 10. Now, it slams the door behind you. Now, when you think at that level, when you get black people on the planet to think at that level, now that's getting it done. Get it done.
Okay, let's get this done. I believe it's Estelle. You're on with Mr. Fuller Live. Go ahead, please.
Greetings.
Greetings.
Neely Fuller. And greeting, Mr. Bobby.
Okay.
And I am still learning. I wanted to make a VGQ as quickly as possible before I ask the question to Mr. Fuller. Perhaps, Mr. Fuller, I was thinking, knowing you as long as I have, that you've just been able to accept truth since you were young. And for many people, the world that we live in, the system we live in, does not promote people staring hard truths in the face. And one of the harsh truths for victims is to not want to admit that we were born into a worldwide prison system. So therefore, you'll always get people who will call in or respond to you with, maybe I can escape over here, maybe this little island over there, maybe this continent over there, because to have to accept that truth that I'm in a worldwide system, then that next conclusion would be there's only two escapes. One, the work of eliminating white supremacy, racism, which hasn't been done, or death. And that is just a very hard thing, I believe, for most people to admit. And I believe it's easier for you, Mr. Fuller, because you seemed always open since you were young to accept harsh truth. That's my BGQ moment. The second part is a question I have for Mr. Fuller, and I wanted to ask about do you believe when it comes to animals, and this is about the animal world, the white supremacists have a strong hold over the animal world, and I'm just going to list them quickly. The zoos, the rodeos, the circuses, horse racing, dog racing, hunting for sports, dog and pony shows, tiger shows, the crocodile hunter, the grizzly Adam man who went up and lived with the bears and then ended up in the bear's stomach, living with the apes, the chimpanzees. Even some whites are now even promoting bestiality. Do you believe that this also mistreatment on other life forms, the animal kingdom, although most people say we're human animals, Homo sapiens, but do you believe that would stop when white supremacy stops? The mistreatment of animals.
Okay. Mr. Fuller?
My answer is I don't know. That's the answer to that question from me, since I'm being asked the question. But
Correct.
I do know that the code says that everything should be the way that it ought to be. Now, that's an unknown that we're supposed to be reaching for in order to become qualified to be called universal man and universal woman. There are a lot of questions that have not been answered. How do you treat animals? When we eat animals, we're animal eaters. Dead animals, that's what we eat. And we find it nutritious. I mean, a bloody steak, with the blood running out of your mouth. And you say, I like my steak rare. Slaughtering cows by the millions and eating them. Now, some religions say that you slaughter a cow, well, I'm going to slaughter you. I've heard about religions like that because a cow is sacred. Well, what is not sacred? Okay?
Yeah.
When we eat bread, there might be some insects in that bread, and I understand that there are microscopic insects everywhere. So we are eating insects. Now, is that something we're supposed to be doing? And we're just trying to eat bread. Bread is not an animal, but it's got animals in it. So people have said animals had to die in order for you to eat that bread because they are into all of the elements of the bread. So actually when you eat a slice of bread, you're eating insects too, because the insects are right there. Bowl of cereal is right there. You're eating insects, microscopic insects. So these questions should be raised and should be answered, because by doing these things, we might be causing things to become more and more imbalanced. But how do you get around it? That's a question. But these are things for universal man and universal woman in order to qualify for the title of universal man and universal woman, which we are nowhere near being. We're trying to stop being victims of racism. That's the first step. And then white people and non-white people, if they're going to elevate themselves to quality relationships, first between each other, then quality relationships between ourselves and our environment, which we do not have and are not ever going to have under a system that despoils the environment, and the system of white supremacy is instrumental in doing that. It's a lot of work to be done before we get to be what we should be according to the code and according to logic. Universal man and universal woman in tune, perfect tune, in quality tune, in the very top of everything that is of constructive value, in tune with the universe as it should be, not as it is now, and the way we conduct ourselves as it is now. we're way out of line. White people and black people and all people. Way, way out of line. We are nowhere close to being the quality of people that we should be. And we have never been. Like I say, a lot of people talk about digging into history and say when we were the type of people that we should have been. There isn't everything I've read in recorded history, I haven't found any people who have been for 5 minutes anywhere close to the quality of people that people should have been. Why? Just on one thing alone. Somebody was being mistreated in all of recorded history, and somebody needed help and didn't get that constructive help. Now, as long as you had that situation, that's right out of the gate. So there's nothing in history that you're going to find as an example for anybody, white or non-white, to follow. Nothing. Because we were...
one more.
Yes, go right ahead, ma'am.
Excuse me, I just had one more question, and that was on forecasting, like you did in the 70s or 80s, about foreseeing the promotion of the LGBT gay agenda actually happening, and it's fulfilling now. By any chance, do you foresee the white supremacists in the future promoting and or normalizing bestiality?
Estelle and Mr. Fuller, hold it. Estelle, hold it right there. I have to do this right here. Okay.
All right.
Okay, here we go. We're at the 10:30 mark. You are listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. and me as your co-host, Mr. Bobby. Now, to get in contact with the show, call 516-453-9921. Hit the number 1 button. You will go to the top of the line. There are already 2 people ahead of you, but you will be next in line. If you'd like, you can also Gmail me at the numeral 7, Mr. Bobby, BOBBY, @gmail.com. I probably will not be able to read your Gmail today, but at some point it will be read. But in the meantime, call 516-453-9921. Hit the number 1 button, and you will be able to speak with Mr. Fuller. I will try to get you in. Thanks for listening, by the way, if I haven't said that. Okay, let's return. Estelle, could you ask that very good question, and then Mr. Fuller, you go ahead and answer, then we can move on with the 2 other callers. Go ahead, Estelle.
Okay, Mr. Fuller, in the 70s, 80s, you had forecasted somehow, miraculously, that they would be promoting, the white supremacist agenda would promote homosexuality, and it's become normalized. Do you, in your observations and logic, see a future forecast of bestiality being promoted by the white supremacist system and normalizing that behavior?
Could be. I don't like to make forecasts about what the white supremacists are going to do, simply because I don't know. But I do know that they will do anything as long as they have the mindset of having a system of white supremacy, of messing up everything that has to do with non-white people, because that's what white supremacy is about. It's about 2 things: dominating and mistreating non-white people. So in the 8th area of activity, according to the code, they look at sex. And they say, now, what can we do sexually with black people that will really mess them up? I mean, that'll do a good mistreatment job on them and have them willingly participate under the refinement, because the refined white supremacists like to have black people willingly do things. See, they are master psychologists, and they know how to talk to black people in such a way that, you know, they can manipulate their minds into taking poison like they did with drugs.
Yes.
Hey, this is good for you, like they did with the Indians and alcohol. They said, Chief, you're talking about water. Well, water is nice, but I got something better for you, Chief.
Fire water.
Now sit down. I got some water that's got fire in it. I mean, you never had water like this before. Now, this is a great gift from me to you, Chief. Now, you like to exchange gifts, so I'm going to give you something that's going to make you feel different from you're going to have feelings you never had before. So water's okay. I mean, everybody likes water. I like water. But the chief, and just to show you how sincere I am, I'm not trying to trick you because you always think I'm trying to trick you. I'm not trying to trick you. I'm going to take a swig myself. See, that's how the refined races operate. So they're doing the same thing in answer to the latest questions with sex. See, they're saying, hey, we need this thing about male and female. All you black people talking about you got to get together with your black female and improve your situation and have families and build some kind of stability, something you've never had under my system and all like that. So I'm going to help you. I'm going to help you improve your area of sex, this male-female thing, by giving you more choices. I was saying, to you black people, you're restricted. You don't want to be restricted. You have always protested about being restricted. Well, I'm going to liberate you. So I'm going to give you more choices with your sexuality. Don't you want more choices? Don't you children want more choices? Well, I'm going to help you have more choices. Now, I got a list of them here. Now, let's see now. What can we do with your sexuality that will embellish your choices and improve all of your relationships in congregate? Now, how can we go about doing this? Questions and answers. Oh, all right. Let's say that the white male anus should be the new black vagina. How about that? You like that, buddy?
Yep.
The white male anus should replace the black female's vagina for your phallus. How about that? You want to try that? Hey, why not try it? Have you tried that before? You need to try that. That's wonderful. And I'll try to groom you for it, in the churches and in the schools, and get the professors to go along with it. They'll go along with it if I put enough intellectuality on it. It's been around for years, but let's spread it. That's what you black people need. You need to improve your sexuality. You're talking about improving black people, and you're retarded in the way that you are with this talking about improving black male-female relations. You just don't want to stop there. You want to go further. You want to have the improvement of all relationships. And so it's all about love, L-O-V-E. You heard of that? You sing songs about it. I sing songs about it. Love. It's all about love. So let's see now. Do you love your dog? You say you love your dog. Oh, you're a dog lover? That's a common expression. Well, now, let's see now. Well, now, hey, if you love your dog, how do you express your love? Well, I give my dog good food, dog food. When I feed my dog, I go to the best dog food store that there is, and so my dog get real quality food. Oh, hey, that's a good, excellent idea, Josh. Excellent. You feed your dog quality food. That improves the relationship. You're expressing love with your dog. Well, now, is there any other way that you can express love for your dog? Well, my dog does lick me in the face every now and then, right after he licks his behind. Oh, well, now, what does that tell you?
Yeah. Woo.
Oh, now, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Another way of expressing love for your dog. So in answer to your question, lady, that is possible. Next thing you know, we are having ceremonies with the cake and the caterers and the camera rolling where we are, why not marry your dog?
Woo. Estelle,
excellent lesson, Mr. Fuller. Excellent.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Excellent lesson, and thank you, Mr. Bobby and Mr. Fuller.
Okay, don't be a stranger. Well, Hey, listen, people, we just got about 20-something minutes here. Don't be a stranger even tomorrow, because tomorrow on another show that I do called Point West, we're going to have the voice of Mr. Neely Fuller and Dr. Randy Short speak about what he has spoken about today, results, and he will use the example. As a matter of fact, that's where I got the example that he used about this sergeant, and much, much more that Mr. Fuller is talking about, in particular about us having the code. That's tomorrow, Wednesday, on Point West. That's going to be on talktainmentradio.com, and I did have permission that I could say that. Thank you very much. But, yeah, Mr. Fuller does a lot of different things. Okay, I have 3 callers, and let's do this one. I guess it's my man from California. Richard, let's see if I can get you there. Gotcha. Okay, Richard, how you doing?
All right. Good morning. How you all doing?
Good morning. Go ahead, sir.
All right. Right now, I will say I am definitely still learning. I got my learning manual in the mail yesterday, the United Independent Compensatory Code System Concept. I was happy that the book arrived. I have the revised expanded edition. Now, a quick question. Do I read this traditionally from first page to last, or is there any particular order that I should read this book in, Mr. Fuller?
Depends on the time that you have. The book is recommended that you read it from front to back at least once, if you can.
Okay.
But most people are busy. So I recommend, even the way that I use my own book. And I got this idea from reading books of quotations. And I like books of quotations. And I recommend that people do have books of quotations where you can just pick up the book. Some people read the Bible that way, the Holy Bible, who are Christian. They just pick it up and turn to any page. And whatever they see, they try to utilize it that day, if they can. Okay. Or remember that, see if there's anything they can utilize. And I recommend that the code book initially be read in just that manner, just bits and pieces.
I will do that, but
once you read one part of it, you may get curious about other parts.
Okay, and I've already allotted a block of time every day, because the way I thought about it was, if I have time to sit down on a couch and watch mindless TV, I can erase that and read your book during that time. So I have the time. Everybody has the time.
You'll be glad you did, Richard. Even I'm still learning, so you'll be glad you did.
Now,
Thank you,
I did have one quick question. I just have one quick question. Now, I have been applying the code, before the book, just off of YouTube and listening every Tuesday. Now, what I have noticed that I've become more of a recluse at work, and I don't mind it. I love it. I want people to think, oh, what's wrong? I just tell them, I got a toothache. And then they don't bother me. Because if I feel myself engaged in a conversation that's not going to have a constructive outcome, I remove myself in the conversation. But here's the one thing. Now, I find myself doing this with positive people, positive black people. I'll invite them over to the house. And I know sometimes we get off track and we cut up and we just be, we just cut up, play the dozens between each other. I've done that only in the confines of us. I've totally eliminated that in public. I don't joke in public. I don't joke at work. I see a black person, I just give them the greeting of the day and press on. But is it all right that I still, we're all, in the house and we cut up a little bit? Is that bad? Is that going against code?
Code says, and everything in the code is supposed to be based on universal logic, not based on Neely Fuller, not for 2 seconds. What Neely Fuller says better be based on logic. Logic came with the universe. 1 and 1 is 2. Fire will burn. Water is wet. Doesn't make any difference how anybody feels about it. I mean, it is what it is. And this is what code is supposed to be based on. What works, what doesn't. And what works for what? That which is most constructive. Whatever produces a constructive result. When you get together, and say you're just hanging around with with people, and you all are just, sometimes we express it as just kicking it, whatever that means.
Right.
It comes down to just that same question. See, that's why I say everything in code is questions and answers. Was that gathering last Saturday evening, if that's when it happened, did it produce a constructive result or a non-constructive result? And if it produced a constructive result, it goes to the second question. What was that result?
Gotcha.
Just two questions. Did it produce a constructive result? And if it did, what was it?
Okay.
That's the only criteria. There's no other criteria for any action that you'll ever take on this planet. That includes me or anybody else. See, that's rock solid code. I don't care, when you leave a gathering of any kind, I don't care what it was for. You say, now, I was over there for 2 hours, and we were doing this and we were doing that and saying this, because everything is about saying and doing. Now, what was it out of all of that that was said and done that was of constructive value that I can use for a constructive purpose? That's it. And if you can't come up with an answer saying this was constructive and this was constructive, then that means that whatever was done was wasted time.
It's wasted time. Okay.
Which is non-constructive.
Non-constructive. All right, Richard, California, my brother, don't be a stranger, all right?
I sure won't, man. I thank you, Mr. Fuller, and thank you, Mr. Bobby. Have a good day.
All right, you got it. Okay. See, David, I believe I got you. We got 5 things to do in 13 minutes, so shoot your shot, David. Go ahead.
Yes, sir. Good morning to you, Mr. Bobby, and Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. I'd like to say that I saw a video about the young man who was killed in Georgia. That was kind of a breakdown by another non-white individual and a black male like myself from the city that I'm from in Fort Worth, and he is an ex-police officer. And someone said to me that I should watch the video of his breakdown, and it was very interesting what he said. He said that I don't side with black and I don't side with white, but he sides with the facts. And my question to Neely Fuller is, if that be the case, and he sides with the facts, and to my assumption that all the laws that are set up in Georgia are to benefit those people who are classified as white, then how can someone who is non-white actually, in reality, believe that what they are saying is a justified killing according to Georgia law is just the people who have been treated unjustly in an unjust system? So I'm asking Mr. Fuller, how can a person even think like that and you non-white being mistreated in this United States concept?
Probably because of what did the person actually say?
He was saying
what the person said.
Okay. He was saying that the shooting, the killing was justified, and to me, no life. If you didn't create life, you can't take it away.
Wait a minute. I want to see. Part of codification is you don't move to the second thing until you take care of the first. He said what?
Okay. The shooting was justified, and the two white males.
That's the first. Wait a minute. That's the first thing. The shooting was justified. Okay.
Right.
Now let's move. Justified in answer to that question. I mean that statement that he made. Justified based on what? See, we're going to the question mode.
Right.
What did he base it on?
Georgia law. Georgia
law. What is Georgia law?
That you can carry guns.
See, everything
and
is questions and answers.
Right. You can carry guns and approach somebody who you think commits a crime and defend yourself, although you are pushing the line. You know what I'm saying? In my opinion.
Wait a minute. Let's take care of that first part first. See, everything in counter-racist science is that you take apart everything, piece by piece.
Right.
Now, we covered the first thing, that the shooting was justified. All right. Justified based on what? Another question. Okay?
Yeah.
Georgia law. What is Georgia law that justifies the shooting? Okay? Another question. And so it says that you can take up arms and do what?
And approach someone who you think has committed a crime.
Approach someone who you think committed a crime. Now, who is the someone and who is the you? See, next question. That's the question. See, that's codification is about exact, being exact about everything. I mean, strict, every word. I mean, you don't move to the second thing before you thoroughly take care of the first thing that's said. So justified based on what? That if you're armed, you can approach someone. Wait a minute, who is you? Who is that you? Is that anybody? Georgia
according
law.
to the Georgia law, it is.
According to anybody who has arms, meaning a gun, a knife, etc., a baseball bat, okay? And you approach someone. Who is the you? Who is the someone, according to Georgia law, that you can approach because you did what? Suspected that person of what?
Committing a crime.
That's Georgia law?
Yes.
I mean, either that's Georgia law or it isn't.
Yes, it is. According to the young man.
According to now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting an answer to another question. According to the young man, what young man?
The ex-police officer.
Oh. And he said, according to Georgia law, the you being he, can approach someone who he suspects of committing a crime and do what? Now, you approached them. Approach means approach. Yeah, you can approach a person on a bus stop, all right? You're approaching a bus that's on the bus stop. So approaches, no problem there with an approach.
Right.
But let's continue on. So you have made this approach. Now what?
Right. You can confront and detain them.
Confront and detain. Okay. Yes. That's Georgia law. That he, meaning, I guess, anyone. Now, I got a question about that. Who can do this approaching?
That's
anybody?
Right.
Anybody can approach anybody at any time. In a grocery store, I mean, on a bus, somebody sitting next to you, on an airplane, in flight. All right, people are, they're on an airplane. And so you see somebody in that seat about 3 seats away from you, so you think that they may have committed a crime, and you're on an airplane now, under Georgia law, flying over Georgia, fixing to land at Atlanta, all right? And you think this person may have committed a crime at some time or another, or I don't know what the time frame is, or could have yesterday, today. And so you approach that person. That's Georgia law.
Yes.
And you approach them with a pocket knife in your hand. Now what?
They say that.
That's the way they do it?
Yeah.
If that's the law, if that's the law, and anybody can do this, now there's no restrictions on who can do it? See, that's a question.
What he said.
Are there any restrictions on who can do this?
Right.
Do you know if there are any restrictions? Anybody can do that to anybody. Approach someone. I think you committed a crime. I think you committed a crime back in 1932. So I got some questions about what you might have done. So you come with me. I'm putting you under what? Arrest or what? Or do you just approach the person and you all just do a song and dance? But can you arrest the person or what? Wait a minute, I'm trying to get the law straight. See, everything is about law. Because that's what we're talking about here. So you got questions about law here. That law is the center stage. Can anybody approach anybody, or are there restrictions about who can do the approaching? Do you have to be an ex-sheriff or something?
No, citizen's arrest.
Hello?
Yeah, go ahead, Mr.
Yeah, that's it.
Do you have to be an ex-sheriff or something in order to approach somebody in that manner?
No.
So you mean everybody in the state of Georgia can approach anybody? I mean, everybody decide this is approach day, and I'm going to do some approaching today because I'm going to approach about 10 people before the day is over.
They say citizens arrest.
Is there a restriction on who can do the approaching and how you can approach, and what you do when you do this approaching? Because I'll bet you this is what, if any lawyers are worth being called lawyers, these are the kind of questions that are going to be asked when this thing comes to court, or should be asked. Because if I was in a court of law, these are the kind of questions I would ask.
Right.
If I was permitted to do so. So, in answer to your question, I don't know the answer to all these questions because I have more questions than answers, just like you do.
Right.
What does Georgia law allow? It might come down to if you are white and you approach a black person, that black person better not breathe. He better drop dead right now because they ain't got no business.
Absolutely.
Black while breathing or breathing while black. That might be the law. Got to find out what the law is.
Okay.
And how do you do that? You got to ask more questions.
Right. I'll do my research and I'll check back in with y'all next week.
All right, David. Yeah, and do not be a stranger, my brother. Thank you so much. All right. Thank you so much. Well, Mr. Fuller, David's gone, and we're just about out of the show. We only have a minute, so I'll tell you what I want to do. I want you to speak about your book, how we can get it, and then we'll move on.
Well, if it's up there at the website, and it may or may not be, but it will be shortly if it's not there, I recommend that you get it. Not the best written book in the world, but I tried to do the best that I could to do what I call introduce the codified approach, that we need a code. That's the missing link, in my opinion. We don't have a code meaning a way of saying everything and a way of doing everything. That's everything in all 9 areas of activity. Go to producejustice.com.
Okay.
Producejustice.com.
Producejustice.com.
And
thank you for.
We're in the process of helping to build a code.
Okay. Thank you for all that are listening. Those that I didn't get your call in, we apologize for it, but as you know, we let Mr. Fuller have his full authority to answer your questions fully and thoroughly. So,
and I apologize for preaching.
That's all right. Call back next week. Don't forget, tomorrow on Point Westward on TalkTainmentRadio.com from 9 a.m. until 11, we're going to have Neely Fuller and Dr. Randy Short talk about the results and much, much more. Thank you for listening to the Counter Racist Code Show with Mr. Neely Fuller Jr. and co-host Mr. Bobby. We'll see you next week.